It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. And we're talking about Election Day is tomorrow. I got on the shirt. Make sure you go to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube. Vote, vote, vote. Make sure you use your power, your voice to vote tomorrow on Election Day. The big thing on the ballot is going to be the state superintendent race. And I'm going to just break down a little bit about these candidates and what my research has found on these three candidates. It's for you to make your own decision, but make sure you get out the vote. But before we go to that, 833-212-1017. Al, you're on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. What are your thoughts and comments on this conversation?
Well, what I was going to say is I'm going to make it a duty to vote tomorrow morning. But my question to you is why do people push all this rhetoric, but then when it hits their dough, then they have their Jesus, they come into Jesus moment?
What?
I never
What do you
understand that. Well, you know how they pushing all this, this racism and everything, like they so untouchable. But then when everything go from sugar to sugar, honey, iced tea, and it start affecting their mother, their children, and everything, and they're pushing out in this world be used against them. Now they're pushing a different tune, and I just find that to be kind of odd.
What example do you have? What triggered this?
Well, put it like this. You know how they push the racism, but let somebody use racism against their mother, their son, their daughter, and they start judging them as if they're a maggot or a piece of swine or something in the toilet. Then they will change their tune, but they don't have a problem. They don't have it. They don't have no problem with it coming from that old thrash tongue or them yellow crooked teeth that they push out here in this world. And while a lot of them grew up as dirt poor maggots, as if their mother and father knew how to read and write, which we all knew it was not. So a lot of them learn about their privilege because they got a taste of life. But a lot of them was born and urinated in buckets, and they picked them up and raised them, but they're pushing it as if they was born with a silver spoon in their mouth when really they came from a bloodline being born on paper plates.
All right. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Al. Not gonna lie, DJ Brother Z, I got a little lost there about being born on paper plates. Did you catch that one? Maybe I don't know if
It's Al.
Okay, I was trying to follow. I was definitely trying to follow. But 833-212-1017. Election Day is tomorrow, and what you will find in Wisconsin, Truth Nation, on your ballot tomorrow is the state superintendent race. And again, I encourage everybody to do their own research because I've been doing my own research. And so tomorrow you will find three different candidates on the list. You will find incumbent Jill Underly, who is currently running. She's supported, she's been a Democrat before. Her challenger, Democrat Jeff Wright, more from the rural areas, and Republican-backed Brittany Kinzer. Now, this is an important election because we don't know what will happen with the Department of Education, right? That is the thing that, for me, when I think about this election, I think about who is going to be able to successfully manage what's going to be happening with the Department of Education, because I'm telling y'all this right now, it's going to be dismantled. Donald Trump is going to do the same thing to the Department of Education as soon as Linda McMahon, DJ Brother Z's favorite woman, Linda McMahon from WWE.
That is not my favorite.
You love Vince, don't you?
No.
Linda McMahon, wife of Vince McMahon from what used to be WWF, now is WWE, is being nominated and will be confirmed probably this week or early next week as the new Department of Education. And she has already said that she is all good with basically the dismantling of the Department of Education. And so for me, I was curious about how these candidates would respond to the potential dismantling of that. And Kinzer said of the dismantling, she's supported by Republicans. She said she is fine with the elimination of the Department of Education as long as the state and DPI are getting funds needed to support the school. See, when I hear that, I basically hear about white privilege of thinking that just as long as we get funding, we'll be absolutely fine. See, that's the issue that I have, is that the Department of Education is much more than just getting funding. The Department of Education also ensures that students that have certain disabilities, learning disabilities, students for Title IX, also for students of color, to make sure they have funding in order to potentially go to college. Like we have different programs here, like Marquette University with their programs that they have, Upper Brown programs, right? Like the Department of Education helps funds a lot of different things. So hearing somebody talk about, and a white woman talk about the fact that, we'll be fine without the Department of Education, just as long as we get our funds, it's short-sighted. It's short-sighted, not seeing the bigger picture. So I couldn't really get jiggy to that because I just felt like that is what white privilege is all about, is the fact that you can just go on and act if they take away money for this, I don't have to worry about the other things that will impact on a college level. It's more than just what's going to happen here for the state students. It's also what's going to happen here for colleges and universities across the great state of Wisconsin as well. And then when I looked at the responses to that for the Department of Education basically being eliminated, Jill Underly and Jeff Wright, who are running for the same position, they also said that, listen, they wanted to focus on pushing back because they think it'll be problematic if they do something like that. But they also said that they want to focus on the well-being and the rights of different communities, right? So they didn't basically accept the fact that there were probably going to be some issues with Department of Education. They actually pushed back on it. So that's something that I also liked about their response as well. And then the biggest thing is when I look at Jill Underly and her performance, is Jill Underly, she's done some decent things, but her performance hasn't been the best, right? Jeff Wright, don't know much about him. I did my research about him. He's talking about basically trying to build up the communities, having better communication, and also holding, charter schools more accountable for, their test scores, right? And I think that's so important to really start holding some of these schools more accountable for their test scores. And the other thing about Brittany Kinzer that worried me a little bit is the fact that she's backed by Republican donors such as the Elon family, who heavily supports Donald Trump, and the Hendricks family. Diane Hendricks, who is one of the richest women in America, supports her as well. And for me, when it comes to school choice, I'm up in the air with it. I lean away from it. I want our kids to be educated. But overall, I do not advocate for anything that has to do with Republicans such as Diane Hendricks and the Elon family, who support with millions and millions of dollars towards Donald Trump. Because what we all know right now, what we're seeing in the White House with Elon Musk, is you're seeing Elon Musk have incredible access to the president. He's doing press conferences with the president. I have not seen J.D. Vance and Donald Trump doing a joint press conference, but I have seen Elon Musk and Donald Trump doing joint press conferences, right? Like that is crazy to me. But when you spend hundreds of millions of dollars on an election, you basically are getting power. You basically are paying for influence. And so what I do understand that if Brittany Kinzer was to get elected, my biggest concern is the fact that she is indebted to the Republican Party, which the Republican Party has not shown that they care about black children. So that is my issue overall with her. And then also, she doesn't have a administrative license or a teaching license in the state of Wisconsin, which is also problematic to me as well. And again, I just don't trust anything that Republicans want to do, because what they are showing us right now is based off the fact that you're going to see millions of people from federal agencies who are going to be losing their jobs. Donald Trump did not say he was going to get rid of people and make people lose their job. Donald Trump did not say he was going to basically go into Gaza and take over Gaza, right, and build up new property fronts, right? Republicans say one thing and they do another. So that's why I cannot trust anybody being supported by the Republican Party. And so that's how I came to the conclusion I'm going to support Jeff Wright. But 833-212-1017. There's an article I want y'all to hear because I want y'all to be informed. It's from the Wausau News, and they're doing a breakdown of the three candidates that they have here. I'm going to have y'all listen to this, and then on the other side, I'm going to talk a little bit more about school choice and my opinion and thoughts on this. But this is an article from the Wausau News channel up there in Wausau, Wisconsin, talking about the candidates that are on the ballot tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow is the spring primary election day here in Wisconsin. What's on your ballot will vary depending on where you live.
Yeah, across Wisconsin, voters will have the chance to choose between three candidates for the state superintendent of public instruction. Jeff Wright is campaigning for what he calls reform within the department. On his campaign website, he says he wants to reduce local property taxes, use tests as a tool to help students grow, require all schools that get public funding to meet certain standards, and adjust rules so rural schools can qualify for more funding.
I think what we're seeing here is that a lot of people that are working in our schools are concerned about the direction of the Department of Public Instruction, concerned about Wisconsin schools, and they're looking for a change in leadership.
Brittany Kinzer is running as well. Her campaign website says her priorities include refocusing on fundamental skills like reading and math, supporting school choice, increasing the reimbursement rate for special education services, and creating an online dashboard for public access to school finances and performance.
I am the candidate for the kids. I want the support from families and from, teachers and anyone who wants to put our children first.
They are both running against incumbent Dr. Jill Underly. Her campaign website lists her accomplishments while in office, including bumping up Wisconsin's national standing in education from 14th to 6th in the country, hitting the highest graduation rates in state history at 90.5%, increasing support for career and technical education, and securing $10.5 million in federal grants for special education teacher recruitment.
And so my problem with Jill Underly is the fact that we can cut it there. My problem with Jill Underly is the fact that when MPS was was floundering and struggling, she did absolutely nothing. They lowered the standards as well for the students across this state. So my issue with Jill Underly is the fact that I don't think she's done enough. Now, if I had to choose, though, I'm going with Jeff Wright, I'm going with Jill Underly, and then I'm not even selecting. I'm not voting for Brittany Kenzer because of the fact that, again, she's supported by Republicans. And hell no, I refuse to support anybody that is funded by Republicans because I do not trust them, which means I do not trust you. Plus, you've never held a teaching license in the state of Wisconsin, and you also currently do not hold an administrative license in the state of Wisconsin. That was from the Journal Sentinel just a couple weeks ago. But 833-212-1017. I see we got some calls coming in. Also see we got some texts as well. On the other side, I'll wrap up talking about this election and why you should definitely get out and vote, and also share some of my thoughts on just overall how I feel about, open enrollment, school choice, and the importance of making sure that our kids have a fair shot at education.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
All Black-owned business owners and entrepreneurs, are you looking to share your story and grow your reach? We have teamed up with Associated Bank for our Black-owned business give back. Check this, y'all. Each quarter, 4 lucky Black-owned businesses will win an opportunity to have their business spotlighted right here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Yes, you will get a monthly spotlight on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. If you want that spotlight, sign up today for your business spotlight by visiting blackbusinessgiveback.com. That is blackbusinessgiveback.com. Let's rebuild our community's backbone through exposure on the truth. For official contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com. That is 1017thetruth.com. 833-212-1017. Get your last comments on this conversation. I'm going to tell you this, Truth Nation. I wanted to get into a little bit more, but I'm going to tell you this. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about how chartered schools around the state of Wisconsin, specifically Milwaukee, and choice schools around Milwaukee are nothing but government and welfare pimp schools. I'm going to tell y'all exactly why. Y'all go ahead and look up the demographic and look up how they get their funding, and I promise you what you'll find is they are basically siphoning off money from the government. They are government pimps. I'm telling y'all this right now. Katrina, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. We have 60 seconds for you.
Okay, Kyle, so first and foremost, I want to say that Donald Trump was right. When he said Wisconsin was a terrible city, he was right. I wish he wouldn't have retracted that, but he's right, and we are all seeing it. Secondly, I think that black people should not vote Democratic or Republican because the Democratic Party was drawn up by slave owners, white men that were slave owners, owned slaves while they were in office, had children by slaves, and the Republican Party also. So we need to let these white people have these parties, vote independent, and I think all the black people should move down to Atlanta and make Atlanta great again in the South, like we did in Oklahoma.
All right. I appreciate that, Katrina. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Katrina. I think, hey, I ain't moving to Atlanta, but some of y'all can. I know a lot of people I know who moved to Atlanta and Texas. I'm going to stay right here in Milwaukee because I love Milwaukee. But I'm telling y'all this right now. Again, tomorrow's election day. Make sure y'all get out to vote. But on tomorrow's show, make sure y'all lock in because we're going to continue this conversation because we're going to talk about, I am a firm believer in kids getting the right education and kids having a choice of where they can go to school, but also I am against the fact that you have these Johnny-come-lately charter schools that come, get the funding, and dip out, right? Like, I know way too often that these kids will go to these charter schools, because I used to work at one, these charter schools will get these kids in here, then they kick them out, they keep the funding and kick them out, and guess where these kids go back to? They go back to MPS, and the money does not follow. A lot of these schools, like Universal School that was here and then left, a lot of these schools are only here for the money. They're not here for the kids. We're going to talk about why a lot of these charter schools around Milwaukee are pimping our kids. Keep it locked. I'll talk about that tomorrow. This has been Truth to Power on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I am Kyle Wallace. The Tory Lowe Show is up next. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow.